All right, everyone. It must be Sunday because this is the next installment of Healing Narcissistic Trauma. If you're new here, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist. This is Salt City Counseling. And honestly, I try to make these videos like the Healing Narcissistic Trauma series videos. I want them to be like, I don't know, maybe a little bit more personable. Maybe just a little bit more like laid back and mellow. Maybe just like, I don't know, like, let's talk. I'm listening. Anybody see Frasier? I'm listening. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a very, very crucial component to all of this, and something that is crucial for anything that is going on in life that is difficult, and that is just basically like changing the story about past issues, problems, failures, or what have you. I'm going to give a personal example in this because I've kind of experienced this. I've talked a lot about this lately. I've been working through some of this lately. It's an ongoing process, man. It's just an ongoing process. And if you've been watching this series, I hope that you're picking up or understanding or realizing that my goal here is to just create this healing mindset. When people who have had this type of trauma or people who have had this type of abuse, the narcissistic trauma and abuse, they have a tendency to, like, their brain goes into that, like, that frantic defense mode, that frantic self-preservation mode of always trying to anticipate the problem and always looking for those negatives. And it's maladaptive. It's not helpful. It doesn't work. And so again, what you want to do is create that healing mindset. You want to create that, like, that identity, right? And I'm pretty sure I talked about this in other videos. I talk about this with most of my clients. Let's create a mindset around healing. Let's create an identity around healing. My identity is that I'm getting this figured out. My identity is that I'm learning how to heal. And the fact of the matter is like one of the things that I notice with a lot of people, the really unhealthy people, where it's almost like they see the healing process as something that you do, you get out of the way, and they just sort of go back to what you were doing or something. That's not how it works, folks. The healing mindset, the healing identity is one that you want to keep permanently, is one that you want to just become like so enthralled with and so addicted to that it just sticks. It becomes something that you fall in love with, more or less. Joe Dispenza talks about this. I'm a big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. That's a really good companion book to making positive changes. Go check it out. I also cracked open a book from Dr. Nicole LaPera. I'm verdict's out on that one. I hear really good things about her and her work, and so, but I haven't read her book. But, anyways, so in this, I'm going to start talking about like changing the narrative, changing the story, and changing something, changing how you view past events. Start changing the story about it, right? And so this can be very, very effective tool. It can be a very effective way to use it. And again, I'm going to use a little bit of a personal experience on kind of how I've done this for something else in my life. And before I do that, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. If you're new here, I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will share this video. My subscriber base, like my subscribers are like climbing for a while and recently, like, so help me out. Share the video, like the video, comment in the video. You know what to do. Make sure that you send me an email if you want, if you have a viewer question about mental health in general. It's Mental Health Awareness Month when I'm making this video. But you might be watching it at various times in the year. To me, Mental Health Awareness Month should be every month. Mental Health Awareness Day should be every day. But if you really like my content, by the way, you can hit the tip jar. It will help enable me to keep the content going for you. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, for everyone that has already sent me some gratuity. Thank you so much. It's very much appreciated. So let's get into this now, like changing the story about your past, changing the story about past failures. Because the story having to do, like the narcissist tells one story. You're bad because of everything, because all reasons, all the time, there's never anything different. Borderline often will kind of put this into your head too. It's in their head. That's why they do it, by the way, just so you know. Someone who's narcissistic or borderline, they project this out onto other people because that's exactly what's happening up here. Just so you know, this false bravado, it's very false. Take my word for it, they hate themselves. They really do. They don't hate you, they hate themselves. But they put this story. Your mistakes are evil. Your mistakes are horrible. Your personal choices are so bad. Shame on you, right? And so if what we can do is we can change the story about this. Now, the personal experience from my life is like I grew up with a massive anxiety disorder, and the main reason is that my dad was a legitimate conspiracy theorist, doomsday prepper. There was doom and destruction around every single corner with this man. And by the time I was even like 17, 18 years old, I had a full-blown anxiety, almost panic disorder. And that's just kind of like diagnosing myself in retrospect. And now, like in my current, now that at my current age, 29, give or take, um, I do really, really well with not listening to fear. And I feel like because I really changed a lot of the stories, I was able to kind of change the story about my past, because it's easy to say like I had a rough childhood because my dad was just on me all the time about the doom and gloom, and he was very, very, he laid on the shame about, like, he was religious too. He's kind of a religious nut. So he would just lay on the shame and the ridicule and the criticism about, like, you need to repent and stuff like that. And but I was able to kind of change that story in my own life. So now that it represents that's what helps me grow. And here in 2021, I just feel like we are at a battle. We are almost a war for the freedom to think and feel on our own, to choose how we think, to choose how we feel. It's like a war for the freedom of how to think and how to feel these days. I really believe that. And my resistance to fear, like, I built an immunity. I mean, just from a lot of the experiences from when I was a kid, I built an immunity. And so you can do the same thing, where, like, all this fear that was put into you by a narcissistic type is going to help you build an immunity to fear. And what would that be like, right? Think about what life would be like if you had this immunity to fear. So what you need to do is, like, start changing the story, right? And I'm going to just give you one very, very almost universal change in the narrative that you can use in almost every situation, scenario, or what have you. And it is simply this: it's not me, it's them. I'm not the sick and screw it up one, they are. They said this to me because they're sick. They don't hate me, they hate themselves, right? And the idea here is to kind of put it back onto them. They're the sick one, not me. They're the sick one, not me. What you want to do, right, is you want to write down one of these mantras. And in previous videos, I've talked a lot about just noticing when that voice comes in, noticing that frantic mind, noticing those negative messages, and noticing them. And if you're not meditating, meditation, man. Like I've said this so many times, I'm going to say it again. The research is there for meditation. Meditation will absolutely, positively help you put rocket fuel into this process. Meditation is healing. And you will be able to change your narrative and change your story around yourself, these past experiences, etc., quickly and effectively. And if you are putting in the right ideas. Now, the trick is to let go. Now, when these thoughts come in, these negative thoughts, you're bad because, okay, we're accustomed to almost getting into this inner power struggle and almost getting into this, like, inner dialogue, or engaging this inner dialogue or inner argument almost. And the trick is to not do that. The trick is to just notice that it's there and be like, oh, there it is again. I'm not the sick one, they are. Moving on, right? And then focusing on building that new self, that new confident and strong self, okay? I know that this is so much easier said than done. I'm facing a particular issue in my life that is just so, like, the more layers I peel off, the more I realize, like, holy cow, this is so entrenched in me. It's going to take a minute. It's going to take a while to dislodge this thing. It's going to take a minute to see what is actually in this dark, scary chasm. But for today's exercise, what you're just going to want to do is tell a different story about your past. Tell a different story about this perception. I was influenced by this person because I have negative stories about myself, and the negative and incorrect stories about myself, and those negative incorrect stories about myself are this, and this is the new story that I am replacing. This is the new self, and as you create, and I talk about this in all these videos, you create this new self, and you can let that old self die. And it takes persistence. You must be persistent. Don't give up. And again, a lot of people, like, it kills me, man, because it's like, I have this one client in particular, and I've given him a kind of a hard time about it, and he's getting much, much, much better about it. But he's been known to come back and be like, I tried the thing that you said, and why isn't it fixed? And it's like, well, you did it for a week. You do something for X amount of years, decades even, right? And you can't do something different for a week and expect the whole thing to be straightened out, man. That's not how it works. And that's kind of that perfectionism, I think, that can come with that narcissistic trauma, is that we expect it to be better, and we expect it to be better right now, because we're always like, why am I good? I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. It's okay, right? You're doing great exactly how you are. Okay, so just stay with it, man. Stay with these exercises. Keep building the right story. Keep building the healthy story. And be kind to yourself. In the future video, I'm going to talk about things like your personal dialogue, your self-talk, celebrating small victories, etc., 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 and stuff like that. So make sure that you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell. We will see you in the next one.